happens a lot is you're kind of, if you're on a good team, you're watching, and then there's a one chance she's going to have to step up huge. That's why being a goalkeeper is such a mental game, is you've really got to stay focused, even if you're not going to see a lot of action.
Well, in Texas victory over Houston, they outshot the Cougars 24-6. And they felt like they had plenty more opportunities to score than the only goal of the game in the 11th minute, courtesy of the All-American Lexi Massimo. 95 degrees as we get going on this Sunday afternoon. For Texas, just a brief trip up to Dallas to take on SMU on Thursday, then back home for 6 more, and that includes the start of the SEC schedule here about a month from now against Alabama. About a 1,500-mile trip to Austin from home in California's Central Valley for Cal State Bakersfield. Preseason pick to finish 9th among 11 teams in the Big West. Long Beach State, the preseason favorite in the Big West Conference, will visit Texas in early September. So this is the first of 2 matches that the Longhorns have against the Big West. This is a good conference. UC Irvine has come out of the Big West 2 of the last 3 years and knocked off your alma mater, UCLA, and USC.
Well, I tell you what, California is just stacked with talent. We were talking with head coach Silva about that he's just got so much to recruit from. There's so many good schools that you can play for. Bakersfield wants to make a bigger dent into that pool and also reach into Texas now. They've come here to Texas to kind of show that they're a place that players can play. And California just continues to be troublesome because there's so many good players. So I think that's what Texas needs to be careful of. Just because this Bakersfield's rebuilding doesn't mean they don't have the players. They have a lot of talent.
A good bulk of international talent. Much of the roster made up of Californians. Jilly Shimkin, 1v1. And nobody home as she tried to cross that one.
A good example of that international talent you were talking about. Jana's daughter, the Iceland native, was on Shimkin there defending the captain, but Coach Silva talked about how he really needed players to return to the program that bought into the idea that they could win, that they could beat teams like Texas. He said to us, we want to beat Texas. We're not playing for tie or anything. We want to beat Texas. We think we can do that, and he wants players that believe that. So he kind of cleaned house, didn't he? I mean, he was like, I just want players to come back that believe we can do that type of thing with the talent we have. And so the players on the pitch right now, they're going after Texas.
Yeah, only 10 returners from a Cal State Bakersfield team that won 3 games last season. 10 losses, 4 draws. They're playing 6 of their first 7 matches away from home. Justice there to pounce on it. How many times did we see that against Houston a few nights ago?
Yeah, it did really well. Balls in the air. I think that's going to be a key for teams, is to keep it away from her hands.
There's Trinity Byers. She had the assist on the Misimo score. Byers 3 goals shy of 50 in her Texas career. Longhorns had 8 corners against Houston, 7 of those in the second half. The senior from Southlake, Texas. The program leader in points and assists. Kept alive. Skyward, headed up there. And Holly Hersick does a nice job to grab it.
And this is an area that Texas probably talked about in their practice yesterday, is we've got to be better on corner kicks. It's not just finishing them. They weren't really connecting on them at all against Houston. And when you've got MJ Cox back, such a lethal force in the air. 7 goals in 2022. They just have to be a little bit better about finding her.
Of Allie Bennett, the junior from Seattle. Bennett, one of those newcomers, transfer from Long Island, members of the Northeast Conference, started 17 games last year.
And I thought she played really well in the loss to San Diego State. And despite losing 3-0, they looked good. Cal State Bakersfield was pressing the whole time. I think there was a couple opportunities they should have put away, and then a couple of mistakes they made on defense that Coach said was pretty uncharacteristic of them. They also gave up a PK right before halftime, and he talked about how he felt like that really changed things. He felt they were really in it at halftime if they were going in down just 1-0 because of how well they responded to that first goal. But ultimately, it just got away from them in the second half despite the fact that they played so well.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva told us that there's been matches he's lost 3-0 previously, and he's walked out of the stadium thinking, oh boy, it's going to be a rough year. But even after that 3-0 defeat Thursday night down in San Diego, he still's very optimistic that this club's going to get better match by match.
Yeah, it was really hopeful, and that was a performance against a conference-winning foe as well. So he's scheduled 2 back-to-back conference title winners here at the beginning of the year, so he's really seeing what this team has.
So hopefully Bennett's all right. Soleil Moten, the senior from Tucson, Arizona, in to take her place. Texas struck early, an 11th minute score against Houston in a 1-0 season opening victory. That's headed, and on a bounce, Hersig dives to save it. So a nice find, but Hannah Wesh couldn't cash in. For Ange Kelly's squad, they're not captains. She calls them leaders. Hannah is one of them. The other, Jilly Shimkin, the senior from New York, whose younger sister Chloe is now on the team as a freshman. Texas preseason pick to finish second in the SEC this year behind the reigning champion Arkansas. Longhorns win out on top in their final Big 12 campaign, winning the conference tournament championship, defeating BYU in the title game. Soleil Moten, over 50 matches in her Bakersfield career. One of the 10 returners from last year's squad. So there's Texas, slotted in second. Georgia won the SEC tournament last year. Tied for third in the preseason poll with South Carolina.
Some good teams on that list. It's going to be tough for this Texas team to win an SEC title in their first year, but they do have not just the regular season, but a tournament. Not all conferences have tournaments, most do, but Texas is going to be challenged, and they're just excited for it. Coach Kelly talked about they're just really looking forward to this new challenge.
Yeah, Ange Kelly, no stranger to the SEC, spent a long time at Tennessee before taking the job at Texas. She's happy to get back. Says the SEC does a great job investing in sports like women's soccer, and they really do believe in that motto, it just means more. What are you seeing early from Texas?
Well, this is the best bit of possession we've seen from them. I think the issue for them with Cal State Bakersfield is they're just such an unknown. I mean, they're very familiar with Houston on Thursday, but they really didn't know how Bakersfield was going to come out. And they were really aggressive, high intensity, and it just seemed like Texas couldn't really get a hold of the ball. But now they're getting a hold of it, and they're starting to dictate the play, and that's what they want.
Well, this is year 13 for Ange Kelly at Texas. Sweet 16 appearance for a second time in her tenure last year, ran into the eventual national champion Florida State. 3-time SEC Coach of the Year in 12 seasons on Rocky Top at Tennessee. Wearing a different brand of orange in this SEC tenure for Kelly. Calls having all her starters back quite the treat. Said you'd be hard-pressed to find a top squad in the country with this much coming back from a team that won multiple postseason matches last year. Lexi Massimo.
And this was a play that Bakersfield got scored on in the opener against San Diego State. It was essentially a ball like that, a little more central, and the Aztecs just kind of flicked it backwards with their head past the goalkeeper. So that's something that this Longhorn team saw the video of, is, hey, we can exploit them on set pieces if we can find a little bit of space in behind that back line and try to get a flick. They are facing a different goalkeeper tonight, though. Hersick is essentially splitting time with Naya, and they're going to kind of see how they do against these tough opponents to figure out who's going to be their #1 goalkeeper before conference play.
Yeah, Bakersfield head coach Bernardo Silva told us that the first 5 matches, multiple goalkeepers will get an opportunity, with the hope that somebody will take hold of that position going into the Big West season.
Well, and he kind of said that this is a luxury, that a lot of the positions for Bakersfield are very competitive, with 1 to 3 players competing for that spot.
Isis Salazar Ortega racing to the outside, had it knocked loose. There's Jonas Daughter, the senior from Iceland. 3rd season at Bakersfield after a year at Memphis. And here comes Texas. But only for a moment, as the possession changes hands around midfield. Cal State Bakersfield only 7 shots, 4 shots on goal, 6 corners on Thursday night at San Diego State. You can tell this is a gritty group, and that's what Bernardo Silva wants to see from this squad. They want this program to really represent the city of Bakersfield, a blue-collar city. It's a couple hours from Los Angeles in California's Central Valley, and he says he aspires to recruit high school players from the state of Texas because he feels like he can sell them on Bakersfield a little more than kids that grow up along the California coast.
Yeah, very kind of similar, right, in the valley there. Very hot, like it is here in Austin. And what he's trying to sell is you get out to California, and yes, you're not right by the beach, but it is much closer, and you can have that experience, but also play. And a lot of players, would rather go to a Cal State school and get playing time than go somewhere like maybe a UCLA or a USC where they're riding the bench more.
Well, Byers looked like she'd have an opportunity. It gets knocked backwards. Texas approaching that 18-yard box again, and Hersick has it. So Jilly Shimkin put a lot behind that one from about 22 feet away.
Yeah, it was a good idea. I like that cut inside and looking for the corner. Just didn't get around it enough to get it into that far corner. Ended up going right at Hersick. But I think now the Longhorns are starting to get their mojo.
Massimo races and watches Hersick knock it away again. Texas will keep it. Madison Haugen, the Georgia graduate transfer, was on that SEC tournament championship squad last year. Holly Ward will try and chase it down, but it rolls out.
Misimo's just deceptively fast. I mean, she really does a good job of getting a step on her defenders and ripping shots off. That's how she scores so much, is I think a lot of teams don't read her as being as fast as she is, as quick as she is. And I mean, she's essentially a forward. She hangs out very high underneath and plays off that forward line. Her starting position just might sometimes be a little beneath Byers, but she does stay up top.
There's Ashlyn Miller with a nice move. And once again, Holly Hersick is able to pounce on it. So some shots on goal here the last few minutes for Texas, but unable to get it by the senior from Baroda, Michigan. And already that 5-0 advantage in shots on goals for the 17th ranked Longhorns.
And truthfully, I think Bakersfield will be fine with Texas taking those long distance shots, especially with such a talented 5th-year senior Hersick in goal. They just don't want Texas getting inside the box. I mean, that's when it's going to be very dangerous, and Texas is pretty lethal when they get in that area. So far the defense, despite giving up some of these kind of half chances to Texas, doing a good job at keeping them at bay.
It's Josie Novak, slow to get up, senior from Fort Collins in Colorado. One of those 29 newcomers, transfer from Northern Arizona, where she was tied for first in the Big Sky in goals last season. Had 12 in her Lumberjack career, and trying to bring some of that offensive firepower to this Bakersfield program. And a couple shots on goal in her Roadrunner debut at San Diego State Thursday night. Justice snags it. Megan Ormson tried to head it past the Texas goalkeeper. Ormson, another one of those experienced transfers, comes from New Mexico State. Haugen finds Miller. Shipkin to Trinity Byers. Byers service and gets knocked loose for a moment and back towards the middle of the field. Texas reclaims as Salazar Ortega hits the deck. Byers so dangerous in this spot. Boy, Holly Hersick has been very busy early on in this first half.
Very much so, and the issue is really that service right there in the runs. They're doing a good job defending touch tight inside the box. It's just, can they limit Trinity Byers getting the ball in the first place? Because those are always going to be dangerous, but the defending in the box really good for the Roadrunners. Their goal side, their ball side, touch tight, not allowing all those burnt orange jerseys to get a toe on those crosses. But, I mean, there's only so much you can take in terms of handling those numbers in the box.
Yeah, Trinity Byers, 47 career goals, now 35 assists. She had the assist on the Misimo score against Houston on Thursday night. Also had 6 shots, 4 shots on goal. She'll match up with her sister Truth, who's a member of the SMU program, on Thursday when Texas plays its first road match of the young season. Its lone non-conference contest away from Austin. Misimo with the left and wide right. Boy, she's confident from long distance and just hooked that one to the right of Holly Hersick.
So you can see, despite 2 white jerseys, she finds the space, and you can see how upset she is because she saw that window there that she had just put it on frame. Probably would have gone in the back of the net.
Hersick started 15 matches, had 67 saves a season ago for Cal State Bakersfield. Third season with the program, spent 2 years at Utah Tech. Before it was Utah Tech, previously Dixie State, out of the Western Athletic Conference. Cal State Bakersfield for a long time, members of the WAC. Joined the Big West back in 2020 along with UC San Diego, making the jump up from Division II. Bernardo Silva talked about how he still feels like Bakersfield's trying to earn the respect of the Big West. This is their 5th season. Almost 20 minutes off this first half clock. Still 0-0 in Austin. 95 degrees when we got going. Temperatures climbing here. Should reach triple digits. Cal State Bakersfield, they haven't had too many opportunities this area of the field. Mia Justice, the senior from Lakewood, Ohio, 2nd season with the Longhorns after 2 years at Florida State. Here's Byers. This is dangerous. Byers gets tripped up, keeps it alive. Massimo watches it roll out. Well, that was kind of a scary collision there between Trinity Byers running at full speed and the Cal State Bakersfield goalkeeper, Holly Hersick.
Yeah, this is really risky from Hersick there. I mean, obviously, if the timing is off at all, she probably would have gotten a red card for taking out Trinity Byers, but her leg got up and got enough of the ball there that referee didn't see a foul at all and let play continue, but super risky with Hersick coming out that fast. So kind of an interesting choice too. I mean, you know, that's something they've talked about, that Texas likes to get in behind, likes to get breakaways and 1v1s. So the choice of the goalkeeper to stay home and hope their defense tracks, or to come out. And that time she came out to try to really put Trinity Byers off. But that's going to be a problem for Cal State Bakersfield if they have space behind. You know Haugen can play a through ball, but everyone on the team is looking for Byers in behind in space.
Chloe Shimkin, younger sister of Jilly, first off the bench for Texas. As Karen Flores, 5th-year senior from Ecuador, is out there for the first time today for Cal State Bakersfield. Texas has had the Roadrunners on their heels much of this first half, but so far nothing to show for it. 0-0 here. Eight shots for Texas, 6 on goal, all of them saved by Holly Hersick, the senior. Maya Fortune has it knocked away, junior from Phoenix. He's now made 34 appearances in 2+ seasons with the program. There's Trinity Byers. Now Massimo, defended well by Bakersfield. It stays in the vicinity for Texas. Soleil Moten, who checked in earlier, providing the defense for the Roadrunners.
It's a good first look at Chloe Shimkin on that left side. It was a really good spark, I thought, on Thursday against U of H. And provided a lot of energy, and I think that's something that Texas needs right now is some energy. They look a little bit slow in possession. They're knocking the ball around a little bit slower, and right now, to me, they're being a little bit outworked by Bakersfield. So I think having that bit of a jolt in the arm, Chloe Shimkin's going to provide that off the bench.
Well, you know, it's a seismic target on the back of Texas, 17th ranked team in the country. Mentioned Cal State Bakersfield. This is their first SEC opponent in their Division I history. They have not had a winning campaign as a Division I soccer program. Bernardo Silva has a chip on his shoulder because of that and some of the other opinions among other Big West Conference schools, and is very determined and very optimistic that this might be the team that changes the perception of Cal State Bakersfield women's soccer. I feel like these matches against defending Mountain West champ San Diego State Thursday, defending Big 12 tournament champ Sweet 16 Texas today, will help prepare them for what they feel is a very underrated Big West Conference.
As we watch Texas have some possessions, see how slow the ball's moving right now across the back line, and these passes, they're not being pinged in at all. It's not really going to open much up when it's this slow, and then you're forced to do something like this, which is just clear it and lose possession. So it just needs to be faster, quicker, and kind of penetrate a little bit faster as well, so that there's more windows, more lanes, more gaps opening in that back for Bakersfield. Texas just not moving it fast enough at the moment.
Well, Byers, as expected, drawing a lot of attention defensively. Gets knocked to the turf. Nothing to show for it. Cal State Bakersfield from the Big West hanging tough here. 19 and change on the first half clock in Austin. Mike A. Myers Stadium opened back in 1999, also home to track and field here at the University of Texas. Longhorns approach the box. Massimo puts the moves on the Cal State Bakersfield defense. Dishes to the outside. Byers in the vicinity and blown dead.
Ball's laid out to the left here for Shimkin to curl that back post. Saw Byers, and I think Hersick did just enough to throw Byers off the trajectory of that ball.
A hydration break here with 18 minutes, 23 seconds on the first half timer. Oh, Bernardo Silva, born and raised in Portugal. Came to the States, played at UC Santa Barbara, but he got started at Santa Barbara's rival Cal Poly under Alex Crozier, who's calling it a career after 33 seasons this fall. He was with the Mustangs from 2013 to 2017. Raced them as such. 29 newcomers 1 year later. He feels like this brand of soccer that fans will see this season much more to the tune of what Bernardo Silva is hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, I was in when he said he is developing a new Bakersfield. You could hear the passion. Look at him now with his passion, his energy. I saw him pacing on the sideline, and he just brings this joy for the game and passion for the ability to beat teams like Texas. He believes in this team, the players that have bought into the new Bakersfield. He says those players speak his DNA. They like to win and compete, and they do have the belief that they can contend with the biggest teams in the country. But he's really impressive in terms of the joy he brings to college soccer and the value he puts in the personal relationship with his players, having a positive experience in college, and it not just being about maybe what it looks like on social media to commit to some big time school. He says really it's about the experience, and that's how he was able to sell the program to these amazing transfers that have come in for him, like Ormson and like Giannis Stoddard, the captain, the senior in the midfield, players who have stuck around the last few years, who have struggled with this Bakersfield team. They've come back, bought into his mission in building this program to be something to be proud of.
Cal State Bakersfield, they've done a nice job to avoid some Texas opportunities. 9 shots, 6 on goal for the Longhorns, but still 0-0 here, approaching the 18-minute mark of the first half. Get a chance to see the freshman from Lansing, Michigan, Amalia Villarreal. Saw her out there for 7 minutes against Houston on Thursday night. Ange Kelly really likes the international experience she brings to the table. Has played with the U16, U17 USA national teams. One of a few freshmen that saw time on Thursday night. Here's Villarreal turning the corner and almost knocked in her first collegiate score. But Hersick was there to prevent what would have been the first goal of the afternoon.
Great turn here, back to goal, and then a really good shot as well. And super save, too, from Hersick there. Good shot stopper in the net so far for Bakersfield.
Well, the 7th shot on goal, and it almost broke this scoreless tie. Villarreal might have another opportunity here. Instead, gets rid of it. Madison Haugen, the Georgia transfer, too high. Getting real close the last minute.
Another really good turn and shot, and that's not something you expect either from your right back coming forward. You expected her to maybe dish that off, but she had a great turn and a really good shot, just a little bit too much underneath it. But Haugen, really exciting new player for the Longhorns. 5th year, essentially grad student transfer from Georgia, has already been a huge impact early on in the season.
Yeah, Madison Haugen, she's from Georgia, grew up in Cumming, 4-year starter, also a captain over there. And she will have her homecoming. Texas closes the regular season in Athens against the Bulldogs.
It's really interesting. We're in this unusual era of the COVID remnants where a lot of these teams have 5th year eligibilities. So they've played all 4 years out of college, and if they graduate in that 4 years and still want to play, obviously they would have to go into grad school. So they have to figure out, hey, where can I go to grad school for what I want to do, but also play for a team that matches what I want to do with the team. And so that's a challenge for these players that want to continue before maybe going pro.
This is Karen Flores on the outside. 1v1 with Carly Montgomery. Texas had a corner in the opening moments. That's been the only corner of the match.
Corner kick, Cal State Bakersfield.
This will be the first for Cal State Bakersfield. Gia Valenti, the senior from Bakersfield, transfer from New Mexico State. Roadrunners had 6 corners at San Diego State. This one headed but not going anywhere. Armson tries to battle with MJ Cox.
You got to think that for Bakersfield, if you're not going to have a lot of the ball, if you're on this end and you get an opportunity like a corner kick, you want to do as best you can to at least get a shot off, challenge the goalkeeper in some kind of way. You can see, even with that kind of half opportunity, it was troublesome for Texas. But Bakersfield's not going to get that many chances. And they saw against San Diego State what happens if you don't put those away. It really does change the game, the momentum of the game. And easily, that game against the Aztecs could have been tied at half, yet they were down 2-0. So they know they've got to take advantage of those few chances.
Well, Villarreal came close to scoring a goal moments ago. We'll try and set up Texas with the first of the afternoon. It's headed, it's in!
Goal, Texas!
Avery Clark puts Texas up 1-0.
This is some great service on this flank space. You see this combination play between Shimkin, Lapomarda, chopped in cross, wide open. Avery Clark gets in front of her defender. This is a player, Avery Clark, everyone is excited about. She was a super sub last year. She comes off the bench as a true target center forward. And boy, on Thursday, she was just laying off ball after ball. They were playing into her feet as a post player essentially up top, but she never got one of those types of looks where she could post up and use her head inside the 18-yard box. And you saw there how deadly she can be if she can get some good service.
So for Texas on its 8th shot on goal, they finally find some netting courtesy of the sophomore out of Brentwood, Tennessee, all-conference freshman team last year. And that is her 4th career goal as a Longhorn. Another impressive freshman with international experience, Rosa Malouf from Canada, was the Golden Boot winner at CONCACAF, seeing her first opening half action. So much talk, and rightfully so, about what Texas has coming back this year, but don't overlook some of these freshmen that will be household names by the time they're upperclassmen.
Well, and that's what's scary if you're facing Texas, is not only do they have every single starter back from such a dangerous team that, quite frankly, if they hadn't come up against Florida State so early in the NCAA tournament, might have been the Big 12 team that broke through to the Final Four. They did beat BYU, who ended up in the Final Four in the conference championship match. So to return everybody plus get the kind of talent that they have coming in as freshmen in Malouf, Villarreal, as well as the transfer in Haugen, like, they are stacked, this team. They have depth.
Karen Flores couldn't get it past the wall of burnt orange, and here comes Texas on the move again, trying to add to this 1-0 lead. Bakersfield able to catch up and thwart that attempt. There's Ramirez, junior college transfer from Allen Hancock, where she was the 2023 offensive MVP. Into the final 11 minutes here. An Avery Clark scored the difference. One shot taken by Cal State Bakersfield this first half.
What I do like about these early 2 goals in the year for Texas, and you can be negative and say, shouldn't they be scoring a lot more than they're doing right now? But those were 2 pretty goals where there was a lot of combination between different players to set someone up to finish. I mean, that's an ideal goal. It's not, you know, a garbage goal or poking something in off of a set piece. They really developed those goals in possession. Really good service. First one was a through ball against Houston on the floor. This one in the air, served really well by Lapo Marta. So I think that's really encouraging for Texas, is that, hey, we've got that part down. We just need to do it a lot more and a lot more efficiently in front of the goal. Maybe be a little more patient too. We've seen a lot of shots from outside the box. Maybe trying to be more patient, recycle it around, see if you can find a little bit better opportunity.
Well, Texas has really made things tough on Cal State Bakersfield, this part of the field. Into the box it goes for the Roadrunners, and Justice on a couple of bounces will grab it. 9 shutouts for Mia Justice in her first season at Texas last year. Had a stretch of 6 consecutive clean sheets at one juncture of 2023. And Ange Kelly told us earlier this week, they're going for clean sheets every half.
I think maybe that's the one area from last year, because you're looking at Lexi Mismo as well as Byers on all these, you know, score sheets, right, nationally ranking them. But can they do a little bit better with making sure every single game's a clean sheet? And they should, with Mia Justice in the goal and her shot-stopping ability. And so it was a matter of making sure that they're doing a really good job defensively as well, because most of the time they're going to get it done offensively. It's just shoring up the back, making sure there's no little mistakes. You don't turn off for that 1 second that lets this team back in and capitalize. And I think it does start from Justice, her communication with that back line to move the ball quicker, to make sure they're getting it out so that pressure doesn't result in a turnover too close to her.
Chloe Shimkin saw 29 minutes of action in her Texas debut Thursday night from IMG Academy in Florida, enrolled back in the spring. Ange Kelly talked about some of the luxuries coming from that IMG program.
Corner kick, Texas.
Second corner for Texas. And the first since the opening minutes. Lexi Massimo. It's skyward. Nice job by Cal State Bakersfield to stop it. And it's a goal kick. Well, Holly Hersick, who's kind of been everywhere this first half for Cal State Bakersfield, got a little help there.
A lot of help, and that was a great goal line save. You can see she kind of came out at first, and then that opened that backside to be completely wide open. But a defender luckily stayed on her post there, didn't move up, just stayed on the line, was able to cover her goalkeeper's back.
Yeah, that was Cadence Walters, a true freshman from Salinas, California, who was the soccer and volleyball conference player of the year her senior year of high school. Had a pair of goals in an exhibition win against a squad from Canada last week before the regular season got started. You talked about it, Texas didn't have any exhibition matches. Still working some things out here.
Yeah, they look less rusty, though, today in terms of, like, their touch. That was a little bit off. Their service was kind of over-hitting each other quite a bit.
Well, Villarreal thought she had a breakaway opportunity. Instead, it's blown dead.
Hip check not allowed in soccer, I guess, but Villarreal had been a nice bright spot off the bench today for Texas. Just didn't get a lot of playing time against Houston.
They only had 7 minutes here Thursday night. Ange Kelly giving her more minutes in the first half this afternoon. Texas will try and add on in these final 5 minutes. Maloof. It's in! The freshman strikes. Rosa Malouf. Welcome to Austin.
Look at this strength on the ball here. Malouf gets past her defender, looks up, is trying to find someone. There's just not really anyone to play it to, so she just dumps it in that far corner, hoping for something to happen. And ultimately, it finds its way over the head of Hersick and gets into that far post. See, that just shows you, if you don't have any options, and if you just try to send it toward the box, you never know what might happen. And that time, she got all of it into that upper 90.
So Maloufa from north of the border in Canada, played on the national U17 squad. Golden Boot winner at CONCACAF in her second collegiate match. And boy, the feel of this match has really changed in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. As soon as you get that first goal, it feels like the floodgates open, you have confidence. You also kind of are excited to play a bit more because you're like, oh, goal scoring's fun. Let's score goals. And so you're seeing that a little more pep in the step of Texas right now because of those opportunities that actually came to fruition.
Avery Clark had the first score. Maloufa with the second to give Texas this 2-0 cushion approaching halftime. Maybe a chance at a third first half score. Still alive, and Hersick gets there with about 3.5 minutes left before the break. Seems like Texas is getting to every 50-50 ball this first half.
Yeah, it's definitely improved since the first 15, because I thought the first 15, Bakersfield was kind of all over Texas and doing a good job of winning those types of balls, but this does seem to be shifting to where Texas pretty much has the ball and is winning the ball back most of the time, and that weighs on you physically as a team. Bakersfield is going to get tired the more Texas have it and is attacking. It is just too hot to allow Texas to have that much of the ball. So when they have it like they do right now, they really need to keep it a little bit better. Even if they just swing it across the back for a little bit.
Maya Fortune a little slow to get up.
We saw some cramping in Houston's lineup on Thursday, and that almost feels inevitable with this type of heat.
Natalie O'Sullivan, transfer from San Joaquin Delta Junior College up near Sacramento, will check in. O'Sullivan 2 times first team all-conference selection in junior college.
Number 26, Natalie O'Sullivan, for number 24, Maya Fortune.
Final minute and change of the opening 45 in Austin. The 17th ranked Texas Longhorns have a 2-0 lead over Cal State Bakersfield from the Big West Conference. Bakersfield will open its home schedule a week from today against Weber State out of the Big Sky. Villarreal off the hand of Hersick, and it almost went in as it hit the crossbar, and it ricochets away. So both freshmen getting some opportunities down the stretch of this first half.
And we saw a lot of this from Clark, playing it back to a midfielder running off of her. It usually was Misimo, but now it's Villarreal who plays into Clark as a target, gets the ball right back, and then keeps going forward.
Massimo, it's headed. Hersick had it for a moment. Villarreal too high again. Well, time now a factor. Approaching half a minute left to play. Villarreal put a little too much on it. Trying to get it over the wave of defenders there for Cal State Bakersfield.
And going into half here, I think Coach Kelly will be super pleased with her substitutions and how her subs are playing. In fact, I think obviously both goals are coming from subs, but I just think they've lifted this team, and that's their job, right? They're to come in and lift it and give them whatever they need to get going. And they've done exactly that. Villarreal, you've seen Clark, also that target player playing off, but also the header goal. Maloof bringing that energy on the right side and smack it in the back of the net. So that's something Coach Kelly, I think, is going to be super excited about.
So 17th ranked Texas will take a 2-0 lead to the half. Only had one goal the first 122 minutes of this new campaign. Over the last 13, a couple.
It's a good stat there showing how they just weren't efficient, right, in that first 122 minutes. Look at that, 30 shots, one goal. Kind of unacceptable for this team, and they're starting to turn things around, but it's the subs that are getting it done.
Yeah, Avery Clark and ring in both scores for Texas. Avery Clark in the 31st minute. Rosa Malufa in the 40th. And pretty lopsided shots on goal counter so far. 12 for Texas, just one for Cal State Bakersfield. How do the Roadrunners create some more opportunities down the stretch?
Well, I think that high press just disappeared after the first 10 minutes or so, but it was effective. It was causing turnovers, and they were getting more time into their offensive third. If they can just pick and choose those moments when to high press Texas back line and their midfield, they'll get more of the ball and more opportunities. Just right now they're allowing the Longhorns to dictate too much of the momentum and play.
Texas up a pair of goals here. Will try and hold this thing to the finish line before playing their lone non-conference road match Thursday at SMU. Texas had its way with the Mustangs when SMU made the trip down to Austin last year. And they are now ACC members. All this stuff's going to take a little getting used to.
Very much so. I'm still having a hard time thinking and wrapping my head around that Texas is going to be in the SEC, but Coach Kelly has lots of experience in the SEC, so this is much of a homecoming for her, coming back to where she led Tennessee for so long in the SEC. She says she's really excited about playing teams that she knows are all going to be grass. We were talking about UCLA moving into the Big Ten and how that's going to be so different with them playing on turf a lot of the time. She says, I'm excited to be back in the SEC. The opponents are all good. The players are excited to play SEC opponents. So they just see another opportunity for a conference championship on the way to hopefully vying for a trip to the College Cup.
Texas fell to the eventual champion Florida State last year. Seminoles beat Stanford, another team that's now in Florida State's conference this year, the AC. Who knew the Atlantic Coastal stretched from Tallahassee to Palo Alto?
So far now.
And that was your old conference stomping grounds when you were in the
right.
Pac-10.
That's right. Made more sense. Pacific is over there, not the Atlantic. But you know what? I think you got to roll with some of that stuff in collegiate sports, right? Like you just don't have control over so much. Speaking of, I was thinking about how Texas has been kind of playing all these different sports around campus. The players were playing beach volleyball, not too long ago.
Yeah.
There's a beach volleyball team now at the University of Texas, and they're going to have to find schools that have beach volleyball programs. So sometimes these sports are used to not playing conference opponents typical.
Well, Villarreal out there to start the second half. Came off the bench in the opening 45. Gets back to her feet quickly. Byers attracting a lot of attention defensively again. Villarreal trying to turn the corner. Back to her left. Tried to dump it off for Byers. A little wide of the mark. And a goal kick on the way for Holly Hersick. We mentioned 18 shots, 12 shots on goal for Texas. Holly Hersick, I think she's done as well as possible.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at those 2 goals, I mean, Avery Clark pretty much had a free header. She was completely on the other side of her defender. It was about as, I mean, clean a shot as you're going to get as a header there. Perfect service from Lapo Marta, but there was nothing Hersick could do. And then just one of those where she got beat.
Texas, it's in.
Goal, Texas!
48th career goal, and it's Trinity Byers with the first second half score just a couple minutes in.
You can see her laughing because she's like, I don't know that I would have thought this would have been my first goal back, which is basically bouncing off my face into the goal. But this is just kind of tenaciousness, right? Just sticking with it as a forward and trying to get through all these bodies and do what it takes to get the ball across the line. And unfortunately for Hersick, she came out, did really well to stop Byers, but it just ricocheted off her body into the back of the net.
They had a crowd of white jerseys there, and it was Byers in among a crowd. And it wound up glancing off of her knee and slowly rolling across that line. So the first real opportunity Bakersfield has had in a while as Justice is able to snag it. Jenna Largent, sophomore from Riverside, at a pair of starts last year. But for Trinity Byers, she's already the all-time leading goal scorer in the history of Texas soccer. Now a couple away from that nice around 50 figure. Had the assist on the Lexi Massimo score on Thursday night. Adds her first goal of her final college season. Maybe another. This one's a little too tall.
Should have put that away. I think she almost had too much time, looked up, saw Hersick real big in front of her, just trying to get it up and over her, and just put a little bit too much underneath it.
Even with the double and triple teams coming from Cal State Bakersfield, Trinity Byers finds a way to influence this match. She'll be a focal point of just about every opponent's scouting report this year, but even when you know it's coming, sometimes it's tough to stop.
That's the best forwards for you. They've been doing it their whole lives, and everyone knows about them. We'll double team them, put bodies behind them, in front of them, and these great goal scorers find a way to get through that. They break through it, and Byers is one of those players.
Here's Byers again. Leaves it for Villarreal. The freshman weaving through traffic. Hersick, nice lower half stop. And it gets sent out. Chloe Shimkin, another freshman, seeing a lot of time here today. One-on-one with Sarah Ibarra. Shimkin headed backwards. Anna Wesch. Bakersfield knocks it loose. The freshman Isis Salazar Ortega had it for a moment. Now Villarreal. This is Jilly Shimkin had it for a moment on the outside. Tried to get it through to Madison Haugen. Instead, Cal State Bakersfield takes it away. Byers has it. Byers for Massimo. It's in!
Goal,
The
Texas!
terrific tandem hooks up for another score.
The Texas goal scored by number 10, Lexi Massimo.
The two All-Americans in sync on a 4th Texas goal this afternoon.
And this resulted from a giveaway by Bakersfield, essentially just passing it straight into Trinity Byers, and then nobody covering, because you saw there Moten had pushed forward because they had the ball. So she pushed forward trying to move into the attack. Big gap then on that left side, and Misimo was there to kind of pick it up into space and put it away.
She had 72 points last year, becoming the 5th player this century to accomplish that in Division I women's soccer in a single season. And 2 matches into 2024, she's got a pair of goals, well on her way to another highly decorated campaign. Kind of appropriate that Byers has assisted on Massimo's first 2 scores of the year. Like you said, those floodgates kind of opened up after Avery Clark snapped the scoreless tie.
Yeah, bad news, right, for Coach Silva. I'm sure he was really hoping they would come out of the half and put Texas under pressure and try and get one back, cut that lead into half, and all of a sudden within 5 minutes the lead has doubled. And they're now down 4-0, so just not what he wanted to do starting the second half. But they've got to plug this up because, like you said, the floodgates, they sure seem to be open right now. And Texas is just down here the whole time, and it seems like Bakersfield is a bit shell-shocked, and they can't seem to break out of this.
How challenging is it mentally when you're continuously on your heels and just focused on defense and focused on trying to not let the score get out of hand?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging mentally more so, I think, physically more so than mentally, because if you're defending all the time, it just exhausts your back line. They need a break. They need to relieve some pressure by sending it forward, even if they just kick it forward and then send one of their forwards to pressure the ball down here and keep it down that other end. It gives them a time to regroup, kind of settle. But if you're just constantly under pressure, you're never getting that chance to catch your breath and settle down a little bit and regroup, talk to each other for a second. So, I mean, that's why you need to get a hold of the ball and don't just give it away to the other team, so you can kind of get those moments to change the momentum in your favor.
Well, this was 2-0 coming out of halftime. Texas has quickly added a pair. Trinity Byers followed by Lexi Massimo. Those two have often been mentioned in the same breath when talking about the rise of this program under Angela Kelly. Again, they've really felt like they could have added much more than the 1 score a few nights ago, and after missing on some early first half opportunities today, they have done a nice job cashing in. Here comes Texas on the run once more. Couldn't slot it through to Byers. Garcia has it for Cal State Bakersfield. Isis Salazar Ortega, she was quite the athlete in high school, just a true freshman, was the Orange County Female Athlete of the Year. Played soccer, track and field, flag football, tackle football, and softball. Just a remarkable athlete. And has put all her focus into soccer as she tries to help Bernardo Silva build up this Bakersfield program.
She's one of those talented freshmen. He was able to get in by, again, selling his mentality, DNA, which is development, player relationship with the coach, you know, having the opportunity to play big schools. He was able to get her to come in and as a true freshman. Obviously at schools, I mean, I don't know about obviously, but a lot of schools like Cal State Bakersfield really rely heavily on the transfer portal. Like they get JC, community college standouts like Garcia, who we haven't had a chance to talk about a whole lot. They'll get players across the state of California changing schools and then coming home, some players coming home. But to get a true freshman, that really shows that a player is buying into your program and what you want to build there over the next 4 years, because she's going to be an impact player for 4 years for Bakersfield and Coach Silva.
Massimo chips it into the box, and it's hit skyward up above the crossbar. You mentioned the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff that's so important, even in women's soccer here at the collegiate level. The best high school seniors, and a lot of them aren't getting recruited as heavily as previously, because a lot of teams just go to the portal for a quick fix rather than trying to bring in a high school senior and develop them, and that taking 2 to 3 years. Texas has the luxury of, we've seen it, a couple freshmen out here that have international experience and are ready at this level, but for others, programs like Cal State Bakersfield, sometimes it's a growing pains type of process. Villarreal and Hersick fortunate to get a couple hands and knock that one out. Well, she's come awfully close to her first Texas score this afternoon.
Yeah, well, if Coach Silva wanted to see Hersick in action, he has got it today. Working on getting up to 20 shots stopped on goal today. Remember, she is battling for that starting spot in goal with Kimmy and Aya. Essentially, before conference, they would like to settle on who's going to be their
power, and a little too much power behind that one. Chloe Shimkin can't get there. Well, a week from now should be a great test for 17th ranked Texas, as number 25 Iowa will make the trip to the 40 acres. It'll be the first nationally televised contest for Texas this year on SEC Network. Solid program coming from the Big Ten. Or nothing cushion here for the 17th ranked Longhorns. Trinity Byers, who's been involved in both second half scores. Out to Villarreal. Villarreal off the crossbar again. Boy, by an eyelash, she's missed her first goal a couple of times. Another with a smile on the face of the true freshman. She knows that first goal is coming, and coming quickly.
And this is a player that Trinity Byers and Lexi Mismo are happy to hand the baton off to as they graduate or move on into the pros. She's the future of this Texas team, really exciting player out of the youth national team system. They just spoke the world of her after preseason, that the team really got after it. They were tenacious and fought on the ball, but they felt like she stood out and was a fun player to watch.
See if Cal State Bakersfield can put together some type of threat. Only had 2 shots the entirety of the match. Contact there, and not what Bakersfield and Josie Novak was hoping for. You see that plus 23 for Texas in shots. You almost look at that number and think, boy, it's fortunate for Cal State Bakersfield to only be down 4.
Yeah, but a lot of those shots have been from distance, and we've already seen how good Holly Hersick is between the pipes. So a lot of those she's gonna get a hold of. She's gonna tip over and stop because she has so much time to react. It's the ones that are close she couldn't react to, right? That Avery Clark header, the one obviously that just kind of ricochets off of Byers, like those are pretty hard to stop. So that's kind of your lesson to Texas is, can we get a little bit closer to make it a bit harder for Hersick?
Well, Garcia and I believe MJ Cox got tangled up there, and this is a very scary sight for Texas. MJ missed the entire 2023 season. You can see that brace wrapped around her right knee still. Ange Kelly, teammates, and the medical staff out there.
Operate wider. Okay, let Sarah be central.
Yeah, Cox just the heart and soul of this team, and was essentially an assistant coach last year on the sideline for the squad, and they all just really look up to her and admire her and her mentality through the season last year, recovering from that knee injury. And despite, or not just her headers off of set pieces and obviously contributing goals on set pieces, but more her leadership on the back line was something that they were really excited to have back. So it's always upsetting when you're seeing scenes like this, because you know what she's been through, and you just hope that it's more fear of something happening than anything.
Right, and they're moving around that right knee. And that was the big injury that kept her out of action last year. 2022 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Ange Kelly was so elated to have MJ back. Said she learned a lot watching from the sideline. Felt like that was going to make her an even more confident player this go around, but right now having a little trouble coming to her feet. Not putting much power, being extra cautious. Boy, and you just hope that this isn't serious for MJ Cox. You mentioned it, heart and soul of this team. This is an emotional scene.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately we see this scene over and over again, and I can commiserate with MJ, as I tore my knee 4 times in college, and it just seemed like every time I came back I had issues in one way or another, and it's heartbreaking when your body is just not doing what you want it to do. You've worked so hard and done everything right too, every single thing that you needed to do to make sure you can play, and then it's just kind of out of your control, and that's what's so heartbreaking about it, is you can't control it. And devastating to see early in the season.
Substitution for the Hornets.
Gotta stay positive and
Abby
hope
Allen
ultimately it's not as bad as it looks right now. And as a team, I mean, that's devastating, but you do have a lot of experience who can come on in the back, like Montgomery, like you just saw there, Abby Allen, who played last year, both of those players in the center back for Cox. But unfortunately, this is part of the game. I mean, the bad thing about ACLs especially is it just takes so long to come back. I mean, it takes over an entire season to come back. They haven't gotten it to the point where it's within 5 months reliably, so that's and if you've been paying attention to pro soccer, I mean, we just saw Kristen Press come back after over a year being out. Sam Mewis had to retire because of her knee problems. Lots of players seem to be struggling to get back from knees. It seemed like they had figured it out at one point where, hurting your knee can come back within 6 months, and it's like it never happened. And now it's just really kind of a big problem in the women's game that we're just haven't figured out yet.
Well, we send our best out to MJ Cox, certainly hoping Texas has already added a couple more scores here in the second half, up 4-0 in their second game of this 2024 season against Cal State Bakersfield. Texas playing 8 of its first 9 matches this season here at home. In including its first conference game as SEC members in late September against Alabama, one of the 7 SEC teams in the preseason top 25.
Substitution for the Horns, number 13.
Chloe Shimkin will check out. Holly Ward, senior from North Vancouver. Byers had the 3rd goal of the afternoon and assisted on Lexi Massimo's 2nd score of the young season. Texas has taken 25 shots, 17 on goal.
For number 8, Sarah Ibarra.
Nika Luchard, sophomore transfer from Charlotte, has checked in for Cal State Bakersfield. Flag goes up.
Some great play though there from Bakersfield. Really well done. Great combinations, quick 1 and 2 touch. Able to switch the point of the attack as well, going from that right side where Garcia looked pinned down on the sideline, was able to release it into the midfield and swing it out the other side. Unlucky it was offside, but I think if you're Coach Silva, you're picking out video like that you can show the team and go, look, this is what we're capable of doing. We can play like this, keep the ball, and develop an attack.
Holly Ward, the senior, on the outside, trying to win that 1v1 battle against the true freshman Maya Clark out of Manhattan Beach.
Substitution for Cal State, number 9, Karen Flores. For number
I want to go to there.
Kim Garcia.
You want to?
Right now.
Not too far from where you went to UCLA.
That's right. Let's go to Manhattan Beach, sit on the beach. It's a little hot here.
Yeah, it's a little cooler back in Manhattan Beach right now. This a couple hours south of Fresno in what they call the Golden Valley of California.
And something Coach Silva talked about was, even if we do get down by a lot, that doesn't matter as much to me as how we're representing Bakersfield, like how we wear the logo and that pride we show. So he says that's way more important than whatever the score ends up being. He wants the players to be proud of their performance, and I can kind of attest to that mentality, having coached teams that struggled or were being rebuilt from nothing and not winning a single game the entire season to trying to rebuild. You've got to find value in every performance, and for him it's so important, being from Portugal, and that culture of representing your home, your town, your city, that the players tap into that to drive them against teams like Texas.
Yeah, he's hoping by the end of this 24 season that folks around the Big West and around California refer to this program as the new Bakersfield. Trying to take this program to new heights, somewhere they've never been in their Division I era. The bulk of the Cal States are in the Big West Conference that are Division I programs. Bakersfield, when they joined Division I, for a long time they were an independent. It was very tough to put together a full schedule. Obviously, you can't really play for an NCAA postseason appearance as an independent unless you put together a gauntlet of a schedule and find your way into those at-large conversations. But as they continue this transition, year 5 in the Big West, coming from the Western Athletic Conference, they feel like each year they're getting a little closer to competing for titles.
Yeah, it's going to take time, right? It's only year 2, and coach says he really feels like year 1 because he didn't really want to go in and kind of implement everything right away. He was trying to get to know the players last year, figure out what he wanted the identity of the team to be, and then also kind of fold in his playing style. The players to approach the program in terms of the soccer part too. So he really feels like this is year 1 for him and what he's trying to build.
Here come the Longhorns. And a little contact there in the 18-yard box. Nothing comes of it. Jilly Shimkin. Third year for Shimkin at Texas after a year at Penn State. Penn State rolled over Texas Tech on opening night. Nittany Lions preseason number 4 in the country. Now an opportunity for Cal State Bakersfield, but just not enough personnel against that Texas defense.
Yeah, all game you've seen Coach Silva yelling at his back line to get up, and kind of pinch that space, because when your back line moves up, typically that moves your midfield up as well, and he just kind of feels like there's not enough of presence up there to try and get a goal.
Be the third corner of the match for Bakersfield. One of a few California programs making its way to Austin for a match this fall. San Diego State will be here, as will Long Beach State, the preseason favorite in the Big West Conference. Of course, Texas, they opened at Long Beach State last year and won a hard-fought contest 4-3. Texas has a chance with numbers. Holly Ward has it knocked away.
Substitutions for
Corner 6 of the afternoon coming for Texas. They'll get a couple more substitutes in. Avery Clark, who had the inaugural score, will take the place of Trinity Byers. That could be the afternoon for Byers with 20 minutes left here in a 4-0 contest. And Livy Ahern, the junior from Canada, who played 45 minutes the other night against Houston. Had her first career goal against SMU last season. And that's what's next on the docket for the Longhorns Thursday up in Dallas. All right, hydration break here. 19:41 remaining in the second half. Texas has scored a couple times since the break to take this 4-0 advantage. 17th ranked team in the country eyeing a 2-0 start to this 2024 season. And both second half scores courtesy of the 2 All-Americans. Trinity Byers had the first one.
They want a title. They want that first title. They've never been to the Final Four. Had to watch BYU do that last year despite beating the Cougars in the Big 12 tournament championship. So they really do feel like there's unfinished business there.
Well, 25 shots this afternoon. 17 on goal for Texas. And after missing out on some early first half opportunities, they scored a couple right before the break and a couple right out of the break to build this 4-0 advantage. Ahern tosses it in. Brianna Thompson seeing some time, junior from Mesquite, Texas. Started 20 matches last fall. Key returner on the defensive back line for Ange Kelly.
Something you have to manage as a collegiate coach is you obviously have games Thursday, Sunday. And so typically Sunday you'll have more subs and the heat, of course. But sometimes what coaches don't think about is the whole season. You've got a whole season of fit players you need to kind of assess and figure out how much do I sub, how much are they going to play. So I think this is a great time to get Brianna Thompson, Tony Lopez time on that back line alongside Abby Allen, especially with Cox going down.
Well, Everett Clark tried to leave it for Lexi Massimo there. Didn't quite get all the power behind it as it wound up heading right to Holly Hersick. Goalkeeper battle will continue for Cal State Bakersfield these first 5 matches before Bernardo Silva hopes he can pinpoint a starter. And for Bakersfield, coming from what more than likely will be a one-bid conference into the NCAA tournament, you often hear the term preseason associated with non-conference action. For Texas, not so much, right? Because this is a team that could very well find its way in as an at-large if they don't get the auto bid coming out of the SEC. But for Cal State Bakersfield, as much as you want to win these games, you have to learn about yourself and put together some sort of identity. And now's the time to do it.
Yeah, that was the sense I got, too, from talking to Coach Silva. It was all about being ready for conference. It was not just deciding between their goalkeepers, but also kind of working out all these little miscommunications, giving the ball away, making mistakes. All that has to be gone by conference time. Conference is when they need to have shored all that up, and they're super solid, and then they're threatening attacking-wise as well. That's what they want to be going into conference play, because again, you're vying for that automatic bid into the NCAA tournament to keep your season alive for your seniors.
There's the freshman Villarreal circling around. Tried to slot it through to Massimo, little off target. So about 16 minutes left to play here. 17th ranked Texas on the cusp of a 2-0 start. 1-0 over Houston under the lights here on Thursday. First matinee action, and they have aced the test here against Cal State Bakersfield from the Big West.
Substitutions for the Horns. Number 7, Chloe Shimkin for number 25.
Rosa Malufa, who had the second score of the afternoon for Texas. Freshman's back in. And immediately finds her way into the middle of the action here. Just joining us, MJ Cox, who missed all of last season with an injury, went down earlier in this half. Sending our best out to her, hoping it's just a minor injury. We know how hard she's worked to get back, how important she is to this Texas squad, not only what she brings as a player, but what she brings as a leader with a ton of experience.
Yeah, you hate for that to be the headline coming out of this game, but I think that it is right now, honestly. If you're a Texas fan and you know this team and know these players, you'd like to say it's these subs and youth coming off the bench who've contributed today and how exciting they are to watch, but that is a big loss for this team emotionally, I think. Mentally, they're going to have to get together and hopefully, like you said, it's not as serious, but that is an extra layer of adversity that they're going to have to face early in the season, is not having MJ Cox for a little while.
That puts a little bit of a damper on this 4-0 lead. Still 14 minutes to play. Chloe Shimkin, the freshman. Malufa. And stretching to knock it away is Hersick. Boy, Malufa showing off her power. Was able to knock one through from quite a ways back in the first half and almost found the side of the net there.
And how many times have we seen these types of balls just go in that far corner because they're so hard to judge for the goalkeeper? They don't know if they're going to get redirected or with a bounce, and just a great save there from Hersick.
Holly Ward went crashing towards the goalpost. Almost got there to help Texas to its 5th score. Freshman will take another shot. Ariana Brothers, sophomore from Maple Valley, Washington, logged almost 700 minutes last year. Out there down the stretch today. Another corner on the way for Texas after Villarreal tried to race to the edge.
Corner kick, Texas.
Texas will get set up with another late second half corner here. Ashlyn Miller, senior from McKinney. The 4th most points on the team with 15 a season ago.
Does look like Coach Kelly has taken off all of her starters except for, in the field players, Ward and Miller. So she's getting to look at a bunch of different players right now. The entire back line is different from the starting back line, and that entire center midfield as well.
Villarreal, nice move. Across to Malufa. Almost kind of bicycle kicked that one. That was impressive. Well, you just have to love the energy that these freshmen have brought off the bench.
For number 10,
I mean, they look wise beyond their years out there.
Number 30,
This is the dream. They
Maya
finally
Thomas
are here. They've been
for
working
number
so long
5,
to get to this point,
Alina
to play for their dream school. Finally getting some minutes, solid minutes today in the heat. But they did a great job of changing the energy in that first half. I think that really lifted this Texas squad so that they could kind of pull away from Bakersfield, which is important on a Sunday that's hot. You don't want to let a team kind of linger around, keep it close, because then that kind of forces you to keep those starters in a little bit longer, and they're going to get more tired. And so this is really important that the youth stepped up today.
There's no question, over the gauntlet of an SEC season, you will need your depth. Texas appears to have a lot of contributors that can come in as substitutes and impact matches. 2 sub scores in the first half, then the Stars kind of put this one out of reach early in the second. There's Malufa. Avery Clark. Service kept alive and finally snatched by Holly Hersick. Tammy Anaya, the other goalkeeper, expected to fight for the conference starting spot. Is a first-year player for Cal State Bakersfield. Division II transfer from Mercy in New York, where she was the conference goalkeeper of the year twice. Oda Tersic, one of the 10 returners, getting the start this afternoon, and she has been busy from the jump. Foul on Villarreal. Freshman tripping up Josie Novak, the senior transfer from Northern Arizona. This is a Bakersfield program that aspires to be physical. I feel like sometimes they're going to have to muddy up matches to get into the win column this year as this group kind of gels together game by game. Into the final 8 here from Austin, Texas.
That was well done by Brianna Thompson. It was really a brilliant ball from Bakersfield over top. Nice wide run on the left, but Thompson got back quickly to intercept that and adjust, because that could have been real trouble. Justice had came way out, totally mistimed that ball over the top, and Brianna Thompson put that fire out.
Valuable experience down the stretch for a lot of underclassmen here for Texas. Cal State Bakersfield will make the trip back home to California after this one. A home opener next Sunday against Weber State. Solid program from Ogden, Utah, out of the Big Sky. No, plenty of film to watch between the two matches this week. And for a squad that among 39 rostered players, 29 of them are new this year, they went up against two of the more experienced teams in the country in San Diego State and Texas. Two squads that bring back almost the entirety of their production from a season ago.
Yeah, that kind of shows what Coach Silva wants to do. He's not messing around. He's like, we're going to play good schools. We're not in it just to kind of win any old game. We want to learn something about ourselves. We want to learn how we can play. We want to learn about our character. And he wants to show everybody the type of player he wants to come to Bakersfield, the type of soccer that they want to play. So even if ultimate score lines don't look good, there's pieces he can pick out, put on video for them to learn, and then also pieces to be proud of.
Villarreal nearly rolled it through. Another cleat stop for Holly Hersick, who's used about every inch to try to stop Texas from scoring in this match. That one's headed skyward. Hersick in dangerous territory. Gets help from her defenders again. Second time for Cal State Bakersfield that a non-goalkeeper has had to get in there and prevent a score. That's how much pressure Texas has applied this afternoon.
Good look at Chloe Shimkin here as the left back. Coach Kelly getting an opportunity to see how she does back there in that role. If she needs her to come on and play that position, she'll have some time back there to get kind of the defensive side of a winger position. see Abby Allen, though, and Brianna Thompson there in the center back. Both those players were starters on the back line a year ago for Texas. So great depth for this program this year. And for them, it's about polishing. Whereas Bakersfield's about building. For Texas, they want to just kick off where they ended last year and polish things.
For Cal State Bakersfield, they're hoping this 2024 season is more of a marathon where they can improve a little bit match by match. For Texas, they feel like they've got plenty of experience, and it's all about execution for this 17th ranked team. They'll be tested a little bit more. SMU Thursday on the road, Iowa here next Sunday on SEC Network. But on the verge of back-to-back clean sheet victories and a 2-0 start here in 2024. The Houston match maybe a little too close for comfort at times on Thursday night, but with a pair of first-half scores here against Bakersfield, Texas was able to get comfortable early in this second half. Texas group, the returners, got their Big 12 championship rings on Tuesday, kind of put that behind them. And all focus on this SEC era. Ange Kelly calls this a close-knit group. They had a lake day earlier this week, went tubing, played a little sand volleyball, hung out on the lily pads, and just kind of hit the reset button before the grind of this regular season got underway.
I do think that chemistry off the field is really important in collegiate women's soccer. And I have talked to players who played at Texas in the past, and they said that that was not there at times. And Coach Kelly, I think, knows the importance of the relationship between the players, the relationship between the players and the staff. And you're seeing that with the return of Lexi Mismo and Trinity Byers not going pro, that they value that as well. On top of, you know, they want to finish their degree. They know things aren't ever certainty after college. But without that relationship amongst the team and between the team and the coaching staff, it's much harder to convince players to stay. And Coach Silva has that same mentality as well with his players. He just wants them to have a real positive experience at Bakersfield as people, not just as players.
1 minute.
Final minute of action. And it was Byers and Massimo combining for the 2 goals here in the second half. They always seem to find a way to put their cleat prints on Texas victories. It was a Massimo score on a Byers assist, the difference against Houston Thursday night. And while the substitutes got Texas rolling in the first half today, those 2 really put this game away.
That's what you want for your goal scorers, is to get on the board consistently. That develops their confidence. We called that game Thursday, where their goal scorer, Cameron Maddox for Houston, had a bit of a drought in conference play last year. So consistency in scoring is super important for your goal scorers. But extra special, I think, is getting a freshman on the board today, as well as Avery Clark, super sub.
Time runs out, and the Texas Longhorns open up 2024 with a 2-0 start as they knock off Cal State Bakersfield this afternoon by a final of 4-0.
And that's what you want to see right there, is those 2 consistently combining with each other, impacting the game. The games they struggled with last year were the ones where they were pretty quiet. They were pretty silent, couldn't get a hold of the ball, they couldn't find each other. So far,